Hey, what's going on everybody? Commander Crane here, and we are back with another budget modern deck tech, and today we're going to be talking about $20 mono blue aggro. This is a very unique, fun list. I haven't really done a list like this on the channel. Very excited to bring it to you. As always, let me know at the end of the video, what do you think about the list? Do you like it? Do you hate it? Is there a card that I forgot to include? What non-budget options would you personally include in the deck? Just let me know in the comment section below. So before we hop into here, as always, Patella DVT, it was his idea for this deck. He's had a lot of great suggestions in terms of, like what decks I should show on the channel here, and this has been his idea. I've been meaning to do it for a little while. I've been tinkering with this list on and off for honestly about a month. Honestly, it's been tough because I've been trying to figure out what cards to play, and because it's tough on a $20 budget, and then it's also a non-creature type matters deck, so we're not playing like Merfolk or Spirits or anything like that. So it was very, very tricky to do, but I think I narrowed down a pretty solid list for $20. So let's go and hop into it here. So obviously these are our fantastic one drops. We're playing 4 Cloudfin Raptor, 4 Spectral Sailor as our one-drop creatures. Cloudfin Raptor used to be a very, very good card when it was in Standard. It's got the flying and the evolve, so obviously if we play a bigger creature, it gets a +1/+1 counter, so we can get kind of big, honestly, especially with the card that's in the thumbnail. Honestly, the sky's the limit for the most part for the Cloudfin Raptor, no pun intended, because it is a flyer. And then Spectral Sailor is just a fantastic one-drop. This card saw a lot of play in Standard, sees a ton of play in Pioneer, and it's pretty solid if you're looking for a good one-drop in Modern as well. Just good rate, 1/1 flash, flying, and then 3 to blue, draw a card. So if you're getting a little flooded, you can draw some extra cards. Why not? Then we're also playing 4 Curiosities as well. It's very similar to Curious Obsession. It's actually the original Curious Obsession. Whenever a enchanted creature deals damage to an opponent, you may draw a card. So obviously we can put it on like our Spectral Sailors, our Cloudfin Raptors, or any of our other creatures, and we can draw some additional cards, which is fantastic for us. And unlike Curious Obsession, we don't have to attack with it, because I know like if we don't attack with a creature with Curious Obsession, it falls off. So at least we can keep the Curiosity, which is awesome. So those are our one drops here. This is what I would say the next kind of like the middle ground part of the deck for the most part. So as our removal spell, we're playing Slip Out the Back. Very good card. 1 blue, put a 1/1 counter on target creature. It phases out, so we don't have to deal with that for a little bit, which is nice. We can obviously do this to a number of different creatures. Really just any problematic creature. Just Slip Out the Back. Just get rid of it right now. We can also do it to our own creature as well. If our opponent goes to remove it, we can also slip out the back our own creature, which is also kind of cool. So a little bit of double dipping there, which is pretty sweet. So then we're also playing Merfolk Trickster and 4 Stormfleet Aerialist as our good 2-drops here. Merfolk Trickster is a great card. Obviously, when it enters, tap a creature an opponent controls, and it loses all abilities until end of turn. Lots of really good things we can honestly do with this card. Any like problematic creature opponent's playing, obviously we can stop it before combat, or if it's like a creature with like a bunch of +1/+1 counters on it, we can Trickster it when it's attacking, and then we can like block it or whatever. Like if they have a Walking Ballista, for instance, we can just do that. I mean, they'll just remove the counters, but you know what I mean. Any creature that's very problematic, we can go ahead and take care of that for at least 1 turn. And then the Stormfleet Aerialist essentially is just a 2/3 flyer for 2. This card is very, very good in draft when it was in Ixalan. I really like drafting this card. And yeah, just a 2/3 flyer for 2. Nothing too crazy, but still a very efficient flyer in the deck. So next slide here is what I would say is definitely the meat of the deck. So obviously we're playing 4 Tempest Djinn. This is probably one of my favorite blue cards, honestly. It's an 0/4 for blue, 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 flying. Gets +1/+0 for each basic island you control. Spoiler alert, we're playing a ton of basic islands, so this card can get very, very big, very, very fast. It's also funny, it can trade with Murktide regions pretty efficiently too, which I think is kind of funny. So definitely a big fan of Tempest Djinn. And then we're also playing 3 Master of Waves. I figured why not? We're already playing a lot of creatures with blue pips in it. I figured we'd just play Master of Waves. Pro red, 2/1 for 3 and a blue. Elemental creatures you control get +1/+1. When it enters the battlefield, put a number of 0/1 blue elemental creature tokens onto the battlefield equal to your devotion to blue, which honestly works really well with Tempest Djinn. So obviously even with just Tempest Djinn and Master of Waves, that's 4 dudes right there. Protection from red is also pretty solid, just because it dodges like Unholy Heat, Lightning Bolt. Also just blocks Ragavan infinitely, which is kind of funny. It dodges Fury as well, which is pretty sweet. So definitely a big fan of Master of Waves in general, is our only 4-drop in the deck. So Next slide here is obviously some of our counter magic. We're playing 4 Spell Pierce and 4 Counter Spell as our main counter spells in the deck. I almost thought about playing Stern Scolding in the main board, but we are playing in the side. Spoiler alert. But these were, I think, the best counter spells that we could play in our deck in the main deck overall. So that's our entire main board, except for our lands, which is very simple. We're playing 2 Fairy Conclaves and 19 basic islands. Fairy Conclave, kind of an old manland from years ago. I decided to play it over Hall of Storm Giants just because we are very rarely ever going to have enough mana to activate Hall of Storm Giants. So I decided to just play Fairy Conclave as our budget manland. You know, when 2 mana, we get a 2/1 flyer. That's not a bad rate at all. I used to play a ton of Fairy Conclave actually back in the day. I think this card is sweet. And then obviously the island's just fantastic. I really like the art on this one. It's the one I chose as our spicy basic land of the day. In the first mono blue deck I ever played, this was actually the island used in that deck, the original white border 5th edition island. I think those are definitely very, very sweet, and they're islands too. So like if we have 2 untapped basic blue white border islands, people are just going to be really mad at us because they know that we're going to have the counter spell or the Merfolk Trickster. So I think it's pretty sweet. So that's our entire main board, but don't go anywhere. We still have to talk about the sideboarding as well as some upgrade options. So sideboarding is very simple. For the budget decks here, normally I kind of give a guideline of what you can do, but in this case with $20, this is just the sideboard that I'm playing. So we're playing 4 Tormod's Crypts, obviously great against any deck that's really utilizing the graveyard. We're also playing 3 Stern Scolding, fantastic at countering, for instance, like Grief, because it's a creature with power toughness 2 or less, so we can counter like Ragavans, we can counter like Griefs with it. We can counter bringing in the Solitudes, for instance. Really just a great counter spell to be playing in the sideboard. Then I'm also playing 4 Vapor Snag and 4 Damping Sphere. Vapor Snag is essentially if we want more like removal, but obviously we can protect our own creatures technically with it. We would take 1 damage if we protect our own guy, but hey, sometimes trading a Vapor Snag is good for like Unholy Heat. If they go to like Unholy Heat, our Jin, we can bounce it back to our hand. So overall, just pretty good card. And then Damping Sphere is pretty self-explanatory. It's good against any of the Storm decks in the metagame, but the main reason is for Tron, just because it does shut down the Tron lands. It's also very good against Amulet Titan. It shuts down those bounced lands as well. So pretty basic sideboard overall. In our upgrade options, really not too many for the most part, just because a lot of the cards, like realistically, if we weren't playing on a budget, we really wouldn't play that much. But this is kind of what I put. So utility lands. If you're looking to upgrade this deck, obviously cards like, you could play Hall, but I just don't think Hall is very good in this deck. But like Otawara is fantastic. If you're looking for other man lands, it's really tricky because it's mono blue and we're playing Tempest Djinn. So kind of the main one is just Otawara, I would say. And then obviously Subtlety and Force of Negation are fantastic. Well, Subtlety's not really a counterspell, but it kind of is. But Force of Negation is a great counterspell. I would recommend both of those if you're looking to upgrade the deck as well. But I would say as a whole, if you want to play this style of deck in Modern specifically, I would say either switch to Merfolk or Spirits, assuming you're not on a budget. Just because they kind of have similar play patterns, they do a lot of similar things, but they're overall just a little bit stronger decks. But overall, the challenge, though, was just, can we build a deck for $20? You know, I'm not here to convince you that this deck is secretly, like, the best deck in Modern or anything like that. It's more of just, hey, if I want to spend $20, what can I do for a Modern deck? And that's exactly what we did today. So I'd like to thank everybody for watching this video. The deck list is in the description below if you'd like to check the list out for yourself. Let me know in the comment section below. Is there any card that I forgot to include on here? Just let me know. So I'm Commander Crane. Thanks for watching. And if you have any suggestions for upcoming videos, feel free to also put that in the comment section below. So I will catch you in the next one.